Everybody, One Fun Guy podcast live in the studio. I'm going to get Kelly on. We're going to do the pod call tonight, guys. We're going to have a good show. It's going to be fun. I have some stuff lined up for my podcast coming up pretty soon. All the news of that will follow. But we're rocking and rolling, guys. Happy 2025. It's the new year. Hopefully everybody's new year was well and good. I hope everyone's safe and healthy and had a happy new year, and we're going to celebrate this pretty awesomely. We got some good stuff coming up in 2025. Me and Kelly aren't going anywhere, so it's awesome. I'm just going to share this out with everybody. So if you're on, if you don't follow me, follow me and I'll follow you back. It's pretty easy, guys. We got a great show tonight. We're going to talk about a unique thing that's going on in the rock and metal world right now with some drummers going on. So we're going to talk about that, and hopefully we can get your guys' opinion on a bunch of stuff and see what we have happening from there, and make it a good thing. So Leia, what's going on? Make it a good thing. So Leia, what's going on? How you doing? Welcome. It's always good to have a friendly face in here. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the likes and the support. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Ellie, what's going on? I'm going to share this out with my co-host, so hopefully he hops on. I'm going to try and find him here. Kelly, where are you at here? Let's see. There we go. I just found him. So I'm inviting him to hop on. Whenever he's ready, he'll hop on with me. Sylvia, what's up? Hopefully everybody's doing well, guys. Having a happy new year, healthy new year. I really hope that everybody's doing well, and that, everyone's going to have a good, safe, happy 2025. The pod cult isn't going anywhere. The One Fun Guy podcast isn't going anywhere, guys. We're rocking and rolling. We got a bunch of stuff happening. So if you're on, say hi. If you're new, follow me and I'll follow you back. If you're in, just we're having a good time tonight. So we're just hanging out, guys. We're just having fun. So if you're on, say hi. If you're new, say hi. Follow me. I'll follow you back. Shannon, I know it's you. I just saw you on that we're here. Jessica, what's up? How you doing? Welcome. Kelly's here, so let me do this real quick. Let's see here. I'm going to send him the link again. Let me see here. Host. Where is he at? Let me see here. Guest. Invite. All right, so let's see here. That should work. Well, of course, you just couldn't get it right. I know. Big Bear, what's up? Welcome. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, I don't know what happened there. I didn't get the regular, button. But
yeah, I normally get to send it out relatively quickly.
It's all good. It's the TikTok ghost of future past. What is it? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Happy New Year. Did you have a good time?
I did.
How
It
was
was
how was your break? I mean, we met right after Christmas, I guess, and so how was your New
yeah.
Year's? What
It was
happened?
good. We just kind of chilled out. It was a low key night and rung it in like everybody else. And then the first came around and it was just like any other day. So I just
Right?
happened to be off, so it was good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was kind of saying the same thing to my wife and her sons here too, and it's like a happy arbitrary
Right? Yeah.
day of the year
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, no, it's no, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to sort of just reflect on,
Sure.
what's been and what to do next or whatever. It's a good practice to do. But yeah, chilling seems to be the way to go. I think that it's a little bit of pandemic hangover that people are getting
Sure.
now. Like
Yeah.
like people were really going hard celebrating for a couple of years. Oh,
Boom.
that was a new one. Is that
That was
Hallie?
new.
Hallie.
Ellie is awesome. That was epic. They're so great. These gifts are like awesome, right? That like
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I think that with my lives, I'm starting to get to another level where you
right.
get new gift galleries depending on what league you're in, whatever. But
Yeah, right. That's
yeah,
what it's
so
about.
I'm on the cusp of getting some new gallery gifts, I think. But anyway, whatever.
Right.
But what I was gonna say is that this feels like it's the actual real pandemic hangover when it comes to
Hmm.
the holiday, right? Because it was like people were isolated,
Right.
and then it was like gung ho, yeah, let's all get together, and it was like, oh, it was so much fun last year, and then it's like, oh, this is too much. I don't have the energy
Right.
left. And now I have to get back to the office, or
Yeah.
people that are office workers or whatever, right? And I think the energy levels just sort of like drop to a bottom, and
Yeah.
I know we're not talking about politics or religion or whatever, but I think that on either side of the fence, in terms of politics, it affected you probably this year
Yeah.
too.
I,
So if you're in the U.S. at least, I'm not going to go into details about that, but I think,
yeah.
but I think
No, it
that
was
there was an effect to that.
yeah.
So
And it's I
it feels like
think
the energy
now,
level was pretty low
yeah,
this year for everybody.
but like I said, you have to take, the positives in every situation, right? So like what we're doing now really wouldn't have been a big thing unless that happened, right? Because everybody was home, right? So
Yeah.
like you look post it and you're like, well, the way that we're now, right, is but it's good, right? It's positive. And I think the new year is always kind of cool in a way that like you get a fresh start, right? Like you don't reset anything, but it's like you can kind of guide yourself through all this and find a way, right? So it's kind of neat that happens.
Yeah, yeah. I mean I did for a number of years try the New Year's resolution type thing, and then
Hmm.
realized that it was kind of stupid.
Yeah,
And that's me. That's for me. That's not it's a great thing for the other people to do, if they have
yeah,
a resolution to get to a certain point within a year. Then that's great.
yeah.
I
Goals and not resolutions, right? And I think that like
Yes,
when you
goals, not
yeah
resolutions.
yeah when you start off right and you look at like what's going on, right, you're pretty much in this situation where it's like only you can change what you can change, right? Like that's the thing. So like when you're looking at it from a standpoint, like, you can make decisions that are, going to affect what you do, right? Your outcome. So that's what you look at doing, right? You want to change the way that you look at things, right? Be more positive, be more, outlooking. And, I think the big thing now is like take chances, right?
Yeah, and I think that yes, it's great to have a goal for the end of 2025, like what you want to accomplish this
Mhm.
year. It's a great thing to think about. But when you think about the end of the year, as
Right.
in like what is it? I want to stop smoking. I want to lose weight. All the whatever the
Right.
regulars are, or I want to travel more or
Sure.
whatever, right? Um, the thing is that it starts today, right? You know, and if you're in the I want to stop smoking, meaning that, you know, like I want to be smoke free by the end of 2025. Well, you know, the 2025 goal is not good enough, right?
Right.
It's like, yeah, you have to stop smoking today,
Sure.
you know, and then be able to maintain it throughout the year, right?
And there's more
And
alternatives
it's
now.
like if it's a fitness goal, for example, too, it's like, yeah, you need to go to the gym today,
Right.
but you don't need to lose 200 pounds in
Right.
3 weeks. You know, it's like you know,
Yeah.
set a realistic goal, go
Right.
to the gym
Agreed.
twice a week, maybe, right? And then maybe at the end of the year, you're that dedicated to it that you've
Yeah.
reached your goal or whatever, right? So the 2025 is the long curve, all right?
Sure.
But you know, what short-term goals that are achievable can
Yeah.
you set in your time? That's I'm more about the short-term goal.
Right, I am
Yeah,
too.
yes,
And I always tell everybody,
I
right?
want
Like,
to live. I want to live in a
I write
mansion.
everything
I
down,
want to
right?
be able to travel the world and all that stuff. But
you know,
yeah, how can I get there?
so I write out
Oh,
all
you
my
got
stuff
one.
down, right? All my goals for the week, the month, and then eventually the year, right? So
That's awesome. Tell me more about that. That's really interesting.
yeah. So what I do is I write down. So I'll show you like what I did in the beginning. This is 2024. But what I did was this was the date I
Maybe
created
I-
my podcast, right? So
Well-
1/23/24, and I
Yeah.
saved a fortune that I had from that night. So I put it in the book, right? And it says the current year will bring you much happiness, right? So that was my fortune for the year. So what I did was I created what I wanted to do throughout the year. Create a YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, what my topics were going to be, what I wanted to talk about. And I wrote them all down. And I never deviated from it. But what I wanted to do, I put what I was going to do, how I was going to start my intro, to ask everybody to like and share. And I kind of had a platform of what I wanted to do. Because my first podcast was awful, right? I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. And I didn't, and I missed all those things, right? So when I watched all the podcasts, I was like, damn it, I didn't say like and share. I didn't say subscribe to my channel. So I wrote it all down. So the next one, I went right into it. So I said, announce the show, right? Announce your live show. If anyone has any ideas, put them on social, right? So when I started doing, I says, does anybody want me to interview anybody in particular? What do you want me to talk about? How do you want me to like? So I put it out to the people, right? And people would send me back ideas, and that's kind of what I did. And then all I did throughout the course is I kept a list of everybody who's been on my podcast.
Wow, that's amazing.
So and then I put down the people I want, and then was my format. So when I started asking questions, what do you want to talk about? What do people want to know about you? And I just followed it. And I said, tell us a little about yourself, give us an introduction. And that was kind of how I did my format. And then I wrote out all the questions that I was going to ask. And then this is what I did. Set a goal that scares you.
My God, that's the best goal. Set a goal that scares you.
So
Right.
that was it, right? So I put down a little quote. It says, money only solves money problems. So I wasn't doing it for monetary gains. I was doing it for myself. So I didn't care about money. I wanted a supportive mindset in a supportive environment. So I created that for myself. I put down who has got what you want. Like in my podcast, it was Sean Ryan. So I put it on the show. So Sean Ryan was he had what I wanted. So I took it right from what I wrote down. I followed it every day, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
good.
What I did was, so here's a good one, right? Goals and dreams. I know it's backwards, but you could see it. And I wrote down everything I wanted to have happen, right? Dude, I want to be financially independent. I wanted to buy my dream truck. I didn't want to have to answer to anybody anymore. And those are all my goals, right? And they weren't like, they were kind of obtainable, but like they weren't out of the realm where it was like, I didn't say I want to have $10 million in my bank account, right? Because I knew that wasn't going to happen. Beth, what's up? But I did put stuff I wanted, to be. I wanted to enjoy it. So I put down, I want to enjoy it. I want to restore faith in humanity. I want to see the good in people again. I want to be the best person I can be. I want to invest in me. I don't need fame, but I wouldn't mind it, right? So
it
and those were all goals. Like I wrote these all down. Like these are goals and dreams. Like I haven't deviated from that. And so like going into 2025, I'll do this again, right? I'll list everything that I've done, and this is what I came up with. So you see it on my thing. They said 3 things you want to do, and I said I want to entertain, I want to empower, and I want to educate. And that's been the platform of my podcast, right? That was pretty much it. It wasn't out of the realm of anything, right? I didn't go, Ellie, thank you so much. I didn't do anything this way that I wouldn't do, right? So I know I told you about it, but this is the first things I wanted to do when I started my podcast. Start an S Corp and LLC it, which I did. So I did the S Corp, right? I wanted to do Audio Boom, which was taking the video into audio, right? Because I only did video podcasts. I didn't do audio ones. And that was all the stuff that I wanted to do. Gain followers, do follow links, guessed it, do an individual music, wear clothes and tags and try to network, right? So I always asked if anybody wants me to wear a hat from their band or a hoodie from their band or whatever, send me one and I'll wear it. And that's kind of what I did. And it's everything I had has been written down. Like I have, all of the stuff that I've ever done is what I did, right? From when I started my own podcast to what I did now, right? And so one of the big things was getting to 10K followers, right? And it's still a goal of mine, right? On here on TikTok, but I did what I could do to get to 10K, right? What do I have to do to get to 10K followers? And I wrote them all down.
That's amazing.
So
you, Alan. You sent me some gifts. I really appreciate that.
yeah. So like I said, it's just something I did, and all I did was what I could do to implement everything, right?
See, like I think that what you're showing me now was above and beyond something that I think that everybody should do, not necessarily on January 1st or whatever, right? But at some point, it's like I have hopes and dreams, and I want to accomplish things.
Sure.
I want to become a certain person that wants to achieve certain things, and what I really like about what you were just showing is that number one, that the goal is scary because it should be.
Yeah.
Right. If it's comfortable, then it's not really a goal so much. It's like, yeah, no, I can do this. It'll be easy. Whatever. Then it's not really a goal.
Right.
Right. It should be scary. No matter what you think about Morrissey as a person, right? But he said a really, really wise thing. And he was like, I like to live my life as if I'm in a lake and I'm just deep enough in the water for my toes not to touch the bottom. So it's like, I know I'm not going to drown. If I sink, I still have my footing there.
Sure.
But I'm still at a point where I have to swim.
Yeah.
Where I still have to sort of keep myself alive. Where I still have to sort of keep moving. I think that's, for the more cautious people, for Morrissey, that, I'm sure that his sort of toes deep is vastly different than most of us, but
sure.
but the point of it, like, if you're just starting to come out of your shell, depending on what your domestic life is, maybe, whatever your life is like, I know it's really difficult for some people to sort of just get out of, no, I just need to provide for my kids. I just need to be able to do my day job.
Right. That's it.
And then my life is done, and I only have energy left to watch a TV show or whatever, right? It's really difficult for those folks that have those hopes and dreams, as if, I wish I could. I want to paint a picture. I want to start painting.
Mm-hmm.
I love arts and crafts. I wish I could do more gardening. That type of thing, right? So for those people,
right,
it won't hurt anybody, and they could be very modest, but following that Morrissey thing is like, if you just go deep enough for your toes just not to touch the bottom,
yeah,
right? You went way deeper with your stuff, and I think that, but I think that it's something that most people should do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And for me, it did not start at New Year's. Like when I decided that, shit, I wanna create something out of my life that happened in the middle of summer last year, right? That's when I took the plunge and did a similar thing to you, like wrote down goals. I have them on a Google Doc, so I can't hold up a book like you did. But it is. I have learned also, by the way, I'm pointing at you, but I don't mean to be rude. But no, but I have heard that it is much more powerful also to write it down if it's possible for you to write it down using your physical body into a book. It's much more powerful than typing it into a Google Doc type of thing. It's a heavily mental exercise.
Yes, it's very stringent, and the thing I've learned is that when I first started doing it, right, everybody said to write goals that are obtainable, right, that are realistic, because like I said, everybody
you used the right word. I'm sorry,
right, scary
is a good word.
So when I started doing it, I came across a quote, and it said, "Don't do things that you can obtain. Do things that scare you." Right, and what scared me was going in front of everybody on camera, right? I have no problem public speaking. I never have. I have no problem walking up to somebody and starting a conversation. But I had never been in front of a camera before, right? I didn't know how people were going to react to me and my lives, right? So that was like the biggest thing, was actually hitting the button and pressing play and rolling with it, right? And this is before I had any setup. I was just doing it in my den, right? So I didn't have this space. I didn't have anything behind me, nothing in front of me. All I was here. So when I started doing it, that was my biggest fear, was like, of course, what are people going to say about me, right? What if they think I'm the dumbest person in the world and I have nothing good to say, right? So as I started to build up momentum, I realized, well, people are watching me. They're starting to follow me. So I must be doing something right. And that's what I did, right? So I just kept going with it. But that was my biggest fear, was going live. Right now it's a natural thing, right? You go live and you're just kind of, second nature. But like before, I was terrified.
Yeah. No.
Why would you? Right. And I didn't understand why. And now, like, I know a lot of people, when I ask them to be a guest on my podcast, they're like, I can never go live, right? I can't go in front of the camera. I can't do any of that. And I'm like, but you talk to people on FaceTime, you interact with them on social media. It's no different. You're just, right. So that was the big thing. And so we're like, oh yeah, you're right. And I'm like, exactly, I'm right. So let's plan this out and be a guest. And that's how I got a lot of them.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I mean, obviously you and me have had very similar goals for the year, right? But
sure,
we're in this type of thing where it's like, yeah, I'm totally in full agreement with you. Like going live on camera, well, even just recording myself, like posting videos, is like, I started doing that in June, and it was like so scary. It was so scary, and like, but I have to do it. That's part of what I have to do in order to sort of achieve whatever I set out to do. And what happened to me too was, I'll get to, it sounds very self-centered right now, but what happened was that when you set an ambitious goal and you push for it hard, it's very possible that things happen sooner than you think, and you have to recognize that, right? So for me, I was able to go. I remember the first time I went on with you. I said, like, I have 40 followers. I think I had like 43 followers when I did my first when we did the first thing together, right? 40 whatever, right? I told you, like, I don't know if I can even go on live on camera. And we did StreamYard or something like that early on, right? Because I had 40 people, and you discovered me or whatever, right? But what happened then was, with the goals that I'd set or whatever, I got to doing lives earlier than expected. But it's like, okay, but the opportunity is here now, earlier than I expected. I didn't think that it would happen, for another couple of months. But let's grab it. Let's go with it. It's here. Let's do it. Uh, and I want to generalize that by what you were saying before. Is that the scary thing, right? So it's like when the next scary thing presents itself to you, keep going for it, right? You know, it's the scary things that are
Mm-hmm.
that are gonna make things happen, right? Um, what's what is sad though, so I just want to recognize this because I have been there, my wife has been there, is that when you have these ambitions and you're in a life situation where someone puts you down for it, it's like, oh no, you won't be able to do that. Oh no, we don't have time to do that. Oh no, we don't have the money to do that, or whatever, right? And it's so easy to give up on it.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't let the naysayers bother me, right? Because if you listen to them,
so
you're never going to get anywhere. I just tune them out.
yeah, yeah, it's easier said than done to do that, right? Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, I
It's
was
hard.
stuck with a partner for much longer than I should have. For example, and you know, it's easy to be suppressed by the negativity, right?
Hmm.
So I just
Right.
I would like to encourage people not to go against your spouse or whatever. That's not what
Sure.
I'm saying. It's just like if someone's saying something negative, you don't have to agree with it.
Right.
You don't have to say that what they are saying is negative about your dreams is untrue and unachievable,
Sure.
because it definitely can be,
That's
right?
that's that's an absolute
It's
truth, right?
and it, you know, it's I do think that it's a little bit silly sometimes when you watch American Idol or whatever, when it's like, oh, you just need to put in time and do the hard work and you will be successful. It's like, no, it's not that easy,
Right.
right? You know, there's
Yeah.
got to be something to it.
Sure.
But still, it shouldn't start with not even trying because someone is putting you down.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Thank you.
try, get to where you can, make yourself feel good. You know, like, you know,
Yeah.
see what I'm
Right.
saying? We're not talking about metal at all today, and
No,
that's
not
totally cool with me,
yeah.
by the way.
We're
Yeah, this,
actually I got
this
something to
is
bring up that
philosophy.
I find it interesting, and I wanted to get your opinion on it when we're done talking about this, because it's a segue into what the heck is that?
Whoa!
That was
Have
ginger,
you seen the Muffin Man?
right? I
The
guess we just did,
Muffin
right?
Man. But when the gingerbread man is getting tortured, that's
Yeah,
my favorite scene in
right.
Shrek. Yes, the Muffin Man.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Sorry. Thanks, Ali. That was an amazing thing. Okay, well, back to being serious.
Okay, so I wanted to get your opinion on something, and I see it's becoming a more and more popular trend now. Did you happen to see the viral video going around this week with Stuart Copeland? Been all over Facebook, and it's been all over Instagram.
About him being able to play a Slipknot song or something.
That's
I saw that
yeah.
he
So
was
it
able
was.
to play.
So it
I didn't
started
see
off
the actual
that.
video. I saw pop up, and I love the
Okay,
Drumeo videos.
so
I didn't watch that particular
so
one.
it started. I think it was at the beginning of last year. They had Mike Portnoy played a couple songs that he had never heard before. And it was just kind of a funny thing, right? And they were like, "Can you play this?" And he was like, "Sure."
Drumeo
And
do that all the time. It's a
yeah,
great account to
right.
follow, by the way. It's a
So
lot of fun.
so he did it. And then I don't remember if you remember or not, but it was Mike Portnoy and Zach Wild. And Mike Portnoy had a little kitty drum set. It was one,
Yes,
it was like a
that's
little kid,
hilarious.
right? Okay. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
remember
that's
when
awesome.
Zach Wild played the little kitty guitar, the pink guitar? It was like a 6-string thing, right? So he playing Black Sabbath on the guitar, a little kid guitar made for a 3-year-old, right? And
Yeah.
Mike, so that was kind of the first one that I remember, right? Then it became a big thing when Chad Smith did 30 Seconds to Mars. He had the thing on, and they played the song without a drum track. And all he had to do was listen to it. And they're like, do you think you're ready? And he's like, I've never heard the song before. He thought it was My Chemical Romance. They said, "Do you know who this is?" And he's like, "I'm just guessing. I think it's." They're like, "You're close. You're on the right path." And it was The Kill by 30 Seconds to Mars. So all of a sudden they play the track. He's like, "I think I got it right." So, Josh, thank you. So again, jumps right into it, right? Starts playing the drums to 30 Seconds to Mars. Then the viral video came out after it had posted where Jared Leto and his brother, who's the drummer of the band, listened to Chad Smith play the drums, right? And they made the joke at the end. They're like, well, we know who to get now, right? And Jared told his brother, right? Like, that's, you're out, right? He's in, right? And so they all chuckled. And then it kind of died down for a little bit. And then there was another jazz drummer, I forget his name, he's the black guy, that does the same thing. They'll listen to, he'll listen to it on the thing, and they'll say, okay, this is going to be Slayer, and he'll play like, and it's not perfect, right? But it's close, right, to get into it. But they just had the thing
with takes.
Yeah. So now they just did the thing, and it's mega blew viral. Was Stuart Copeland playing Limp Bizkit, right? And he has a jazz style to it. So it's not like a metal drummer playing or a rock drummer playing rock tracks. It's basically a jazz soft rock drummer. And so he's playing Limp Bizkit, but instead of pounding the drums like this, he was doing the one where you're underneath it. And he's just kind of playing. And it blew up viral, right? It was like a big thing for him to have this, drum track. But I'm like, is it just because it's Stuart Copeland and people recognize him as being the drummer for the other bands that he's in? Or are they recognizing it because it's pure talent that he's doing this? Now, I didn't think it sounded that great personally, right? Like he put a jazz spin on Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, right? So it wasn't a big thing, right? But I've noticed now the trend is these drummers are starting to do this more and more, where they'll play styles that aren't in their element to see if they can track over it. And it's just kind of a phenomenon now that caught on. And I was just going to get your opinion on what you think of this, because we've always mentioned the power of social media. It's just as much.
Sorry, my internet is cutting out. I've had this problem for a while. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Let's see. I turned off things, and maybe the mobile network will do better. But I caught what you were saying. So this I think it's all, most of it is from the Drumeo account, their social thing, and they are a company that are doing, they're trying to educate drummers, right? So they release songs they can practice drums to, and all this stuff, and become a better drummer. But they came up with this great concept, which is like, shit, we've got all these songs now without the drums on them. What if we get these really awesome drummers and try to have them play to the things, the products that they put out, right? Great account. I have seen a lot of them. Like one of my favorites is the Mars Volta drummer. Doing her thing. It's fucking awesome. Like like these old jazz, like you said, like these old jazz drummers listening to, like, this is a Korn song or whatever, right? And they just like, oh, I'm digging this. Like you would. It's like, it's still musicians digging music, and they are interpreting it the way that they hear it. I mean, obviously Stuart Copeland is a kind of an idiosyncratic character too. Like, he has very strong opinions. He has a very, very strong and big social following, and like he's very visible on social media too, and is not afraid of being personal about his opinions on there. So for him to be on there, like I said, I haven't heard it myself. I saw they came up just a few days ago.
Yeah.
I didn't look it up at the time.
It was on every feed that I opened up.
Every
social media, that was the first thing that popped up.
It was a choice of mine that there was something else that I needed to do or whatever. So that's why. So I still have to hear it. But let's, I think that I will definitely listen to it. I mean, here's the thing. Like, Stuart Copeland is not a yacht rock drummer. Mm-hmm. Right. Let's get that out of the way first thing. Right. He started out in the most complicated prog rock type of scene that there was in the UK, with all the Genesises
Right.
and the Emerson Lakes and Palmers and Yeses and all that stuff. That's what he was in. I forget the band that he was in at the time, but he was in that really super complicated
Yeah.
drumming stuff that metal bands are doing now. But he was doing that in the 70s, right? Then he turned into the to playing with the Police. For whatever reason, I guess he liked the punk rock thing, and the punk rock mixed with reggae thing. He thought that was pretty interesting, because reggae to a drummer was a very interesting kind of music to play, and the Police were a lot of reggae stuff, right? So he's just a very creative person. I think what I'm saying, you were asking for my opinion. I'll try to not to get too long-winded about his history, but it's like, I think that people that are looking for musical excellence, which is what I think that a lot of metal musicians are trying to do, and what a lot of people that are really trying to hone their craft are trying to do, will listen to any kind of music, and they will put their spin on it, and whether people like it in the end or not on the other side is like, whatever, right? But the fact is that I haven't seen anybody say, no, I'm not going to play that. I don't get this music. I'm not even going to give it a shot, right? It's still like, I hear extreme metal, and I'm Stuart Copeland, being a progressive yacht rock reggae guy, but I'm still gonna
Sure. Yeah, right, exactly.
Or jazz, or whatever it is, right? I think that it speaks to I mean, are we getting to like a Star Trek reality of music here type of thing, like where all the genres are getting together and we'll all sing Kumbaya, and we can just mix and match the way that we want to?
I think so. I honestly think we're at the point now where I think the music business now is in your face, right? It's not a behind the scenes thing anymore like it was back in the day, right? You had limited access to rock stars and their lifestyle. You had limited access to what they were doing. You had limited access to everything. Now with the modern age of social media and the modern age of basically doing everything in front of the camera, right? These rock stars now are vlogging themselves before they go live, right? This is what I do to warm up. This is what I do. And these are my exercises. These are my stretches. These are like, so you never had that access to these guys, where now you do.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the music business, I think, doesn't necessarily matter what genre you play anymore. I think it's, if you are a social media positive person, it doesn't matter, right? I think they gravitate towards each other now. So if somebody on social media, for example, one that comes to mind that basically does everything in front of social media is Mike Portnoy, right? He started doing that long before a lot of the other rock stars did. He was like, here is access to what I play. This is my gear. These are my kits. These are my drums. These are what I do, right? So he was giving that as a precursor long before any of these other rock stars were doing that, right? He was the first one that I remember being very active on social media from a very, very long time ago, right? When social media started, he was kind of the guy that was on that bandwagon long before any of these other ones had got on that thing. But I think now it's to the point where I don't think it's necessarily a matter of genre anymore. I think it's just a matter of respect, right? Where you start to see a lot of these guys say, listen, I like your style and I think that you're a cool person. I might not like the music you play or the band you're in, but would you want to come and do a song with us? Or would you want to play on an album or make a guest appearance? And I think now it's much more open to that, where back in the day you would say, like, listen, I'm a death metal guy, you're a hard rock guy, like I appreciate what you're doing, but let me stay in my community. I don't want my fans to think any different. Where now it's like, yeah, come on, let's join us. And they do it, and no one says anything. And one guy that comes to mind when it really is bizarre, when you think about it, in the metal community especially, is Chad Kroeger, right? Because people like hate the guy, but everybody in the metal community is like, dude, he's awesome. He's a cool dude.
Sorry.
Right? So,
sorry. Yeah, I don't know if I'll go that far, but Okay. I'll leave the Chad Kroger thing out of the way for my return there, uh, uh, but I do think that you know the basis of what you were saying is that I think that a lot of and the Drumeo thing is part of that too. Is that people of different kinds of music are not shunning each other because of any sort of disdain. Like I don't think that it's anymore that the classical musicians think that rock and roll is shite, or
Yeah.
death metal people are just stupid people that just all the time or whatever, right? I think that over time that has disappeared more and more and more, and I think that
Yeah.
with time people are realizing that all these people are great musicians. I mean, Isan was playing at the Kennedy Center for Christ's sake.
Mhm.
There's all these. He was like he was an emperor. Two
Yeah.
two of emperor members were convicted for murder and burning down churches, but there's Isan,
Right.
honoring someone on at the Kennedy Center or whatever. No, I mean, so, but all that aside, I think that it's just like people don't really give a shit about what kind of music you're playing. If you're a good musician, you're a good musician.
Sure.
That's the start and the end of it. And also, like we can see with I mentioned Isan or Blood Incantation, or a lot of the metal bands that are recognizing that, hey, Pink Floyd were pretty cool actually.
Hmm.
I mean, that happened before with Voivod or whatever, but you see, like, to a greater extent.
Yeah.
Or this classical pianist that puts on like a dubstep type of accompaniment with the
Mhm.
orchestra when he's playing stuff. Like it's all these crossovers are happening, and it's
Yeah.
just that people are realizing that the juxtapositions are there to happen, right? It feels a little bit like imagine the end of the dinosaurs a little bit, right? The comet came, the meteor struck,
Yeah.
the dinosaurs are out, carte blanche. What do we do now, right? Well, the dinosaurs turn into birds, and then but there's all these possibilities now that can happen. All these things can mix and match and
Yeah.
work together and create an ecosystem. I kind of feel like we're at that point right now
Yeah.
with the music industry. It feels like we're at that point where now it can really turn into an evolution, and we don't have to think about subgenres or whatever. I'm not saying that it will end up with one thing that is called music. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like it's a free for all, and nobody's going to be looked down upon.
And I think that, like I said, I think the access now to these musicians is much greater than it ever was in the past, right? You can pretty much have a musician be followed by a camera that is going to be a feed to what they're doing in the moment. You don't have to
Yeah.
wait a week before it gets edited anymore, or all these rock star photographs start coming out of them. Like, it's in real time now. So you see them, a lot of them that have social media, especially on Instagram, when they're playing live at the concert, they're going live from their device, right? Somebody's holding that camera, putting it on them, right? You never had that, right? That this is like now a once in a lifetime opportunity for fans across the world to hop on their social media page and interact with each other while they're playing live, right? And I
Yeah.
think that our direct access to these people, right, guys, girls, I think it's just it's awesome in a way that, like, we can't explain it, right? That, like, you actually get to socially interact now with them and see them out of their normal element, right? And you mentioned the black metal guys, right? How many times 20 years ago did you see a black metal guy outside of his corpse paint? Because if you did, you never recognized him, right? They kept that kind of secret, right? Now everybody knows who it is. They're like, oh, that's so and so, or that's, I think Adam's a great person for that, right? The singer of Behemoth. He took everybody with his cancer treatment, right? He's like, I got cancer and this is what's going on. And people saw a different side of him, right? They're like, oh, this mega rock star that's like ultra satanic and ultra evil and kind of portrays that as just a normal dude. Right. And no one cared. Right. They were like, nobody cared that he was satanic or that he worshipped Satan or any of that stuff. Right. People were like, the guy has cancer. He's a human being. Let's support him. And it was kind of cool to see. Right. Because like, and you're looking at it from a standpoint of, OK, this is Nergal. And he's like, listen, that's my stage. Like, this is me now. This is Adam. Right. Like, and they showed he lives a very modest life. He has a very nice condo in Poland. He's got a couple exotic cars. Right? I think he's got one of those BMW i8s where the doors do these like the Lambo doors and stuff like that. But I mean, he's not driving like, $4 million Ferraris, right? He bought a car that's relatively expensive, but like for a rock star, it's on the cheaper end of cars, right? Like that's a pretty affordable car for most people. And he just lives a modest lifestyle, even though the guy's worth a couple $1,000,000, right? And it was just kind of cool because he brought you along his ride and he said, listen, this is not the rocks that this is me battling something that can kill me. And people took to that, right? And I think, we all have a human side, right? And I think that, we all care about each other as people more than the performer, right? Because you get up on stage and somebody's like, wow, that guy's a real prick, right? But like, you don't know him. All you know is you're basing it on his music. You don't know the guy, right? We don't hang out and drink beers together. You'd probably form a much different opinion if you knew him.
Yeah. I think, not to toot my own horn too much, right? But I think that's a privilege that I have had a little bit through my life because I have been in a lot of backstage situations.
Sure. Yeah.
I have met a lot of people when they have not been on as their band selves. Like I didn't talk to Behemoth when they were there, but it was a funny moment to me. When because they were the headliner, I was backstage hanging out with at the gates who were friends of mine, but I went out for a smoke, and they were out there having a smoke. They were in full corpse paint, their leather coats and all that stuff, like their full stage gear, ready to go on stage a half hour from now. But they were standing there having a smoke, giggling, talking in Polish,
right,
like just being regular guys, but they were in their full gear. Like, can you imagine how much fun it is to see like Behemoth in their full gear, but they're just talking like regular guys, as like, went to a record store earlier today. Like it was that kind of thing, right? And so I feel a little bit privileged that I've seen a bunch of that in my life, to know that what fans generally see is the persona. It's the performance. It's to provide you with the entertainment that you want and that you like and that you have heard from the records and what you expect from having seen things. But it's never true, right? It's never been true, for any band at any point. And it's the bands that have tried to live up to it in the personal lives. They're the ones that have fucking exploded in the at the end of the day. Like Jim Morrison. I know you're a Doors fan or whatever, right? It's the people that are trying to live up to the rock star persona. When the curtain goes down, they're the ones that lose. I think that it's dawned on people. I'm going off on another rant, right?
And the thing is crazy,
but I do
right?
think
Like,
it's true.
I like the Doors music, right? I don't know any of them, right? But I do know, like I've read the Doors books, right? Because again, they've made themselves readily available. There's a movie made about them. It was one of the first rock star movies that I remember seeing was the Doors, right? That was, not Scorsese, the other guy, right? That directed it. But it's like, when you looked at it from the standpoint of like that, and you see all the interviews and you hear all of his band members talk about him, they all hold him in a high regard, right? Like nobody ever talked down on them, right? And when you listen to the other rock stars like tell their stories, right? They seem to be like just fun dudes, that they were just beach dudes from California, right? And it's kind of the cool thing because like I I mean, I'm sure people have said it. I haven't heard that, but I've never heard anybody badmouth anybody from the Doors. Right? Everybody said that they were fun guys, that they liked jamming, that they were just kind of Beach Boys, right? Just hung out. They weren't jerks. They weren't maniacal. They weren't evil. They weren't like they were just kind of regular dudes that formed a band, and that was their type of thing. And that's kind of and obviously I love Pink Floyd, right? But like you hear people in the music business badmouth Roger Waters. You hear people in the music business badmouth, a lot of the other guys in the band, right? And it's like you don't know whose side to take, right? You don't know what happened behind closed doors, but you hear both parties badmouth the other ones, right? You never really heard that with the Doors. And there were a lot of other bands, right? I'm just using them as an example, right? But like you never heard anything bad about them.
Yeah, but what we're getting at, right, is what we're talking about is that today what's happening is that people, the fans, are feeling a relationship to the bands,
Sure.
because the bands can show their stuff with or without corpse paint,
Yeah.
or when they get up, scraping the crud off the rice, when they get up in the morning or whatever they want to do, right? It's like it's all regular people, and
it's accessibility too, though, right?
Yeah,
How much access do you have to your band?
We go on stage and we put our corpse paint on, and we put on that shit that you like, and that's the art that you perform.
Yeah.
That's the art that we perform, and that's the art that we present. But that doesn't mean that I don't wake up with a fucking corpse paint on my face.
Sure.
I think that particular aspect is something that is very appealing to people now too, right? As much as people want to mythologize the old Norwegians or whatever, right? I still think that at this point it's like, yeah, no, I'm real. I'm super dedicated to my art, and this is what I do. But I'm not, I'm not.
I
mean, King Diamond, I'm sure that he wakes up at, he's 147 years old, and I'm sure that he doesn't wake up with, just starting to put on his corpse paint first thing in the morning. Like he's taking his, his medications first thing when he wakes up,
That's
whatever,
exactly
right?
it, right?
See what I mean? I think that the relatability and the vulnerability is really appealing to people now, and I think that that's one thing that people are, especially in the metal scene, which is supposed to be kind of like blank and kind of like, I'm strong and heavy and all muscles and all that shit. It's difficult for some to show some vulnerability, but I do think that it's appealing to a lot of people to show that. I mean, okay, so I don't want to do. I've been going on a lot of rants today, but I'm pretty passionate about it.
No, they're always welcome.
It's part of.
Yeah, no, do your thing.
What you were showing about an hour ago or whatever in your book of goals that you want to achieve. I mean, I have tangible goals in terms of trying to monetize and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
do your thing. Shout out yourself.
But at the end of the day, what I want for what we do, you and me on my own, and you with your podcast, because you're doing it in other ways outside of the little niche that I'm doing my stuff in, is really about let's understand people. Let's all, it seems like a very 70s type of thing. It's like, let's all get along. We have differences of opinion, and it's okay.
I agree.
Right? I can like extreme shit, and it might be offensive to you, and it's okay for you to decide that it's not for you.
Look at who joined us, Odorous Urungus.
Oh my gosh! I think that's one of mine.
War has entered the podcast.
I think she joined one of my lives before, but
look at
hey, Odorous. I think in the spirit of Gore as well, because Gore, I saw them live only twice. Let's face it, but it was 93, awesome. 94. So in their heyday, I would say, right? But it was still like it was so ridiculous, right? You know, like they pointed out the differences and all the animosities as ridiculous. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
You know, why are we bickering about this? Like, it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of, you know, whatever, right? You know, like let's just have fun with it, you know, instead. Like, you know, why can't we just like have fun? So that's really what I'm trying to do with a lot of the stuff that I'm posting is really like, you know, no, it's a community. It's a community spirit. Yes, we are a fringe community. Yes, we like things that a lot of people find offensive. And yes, it's music that grandma would do this to and would never ever listen to or whatever, right? But it's fine. Just let grandma think what she wants to think. It's okay.
That's exactly
You
it.
know, you know, like that's it. You know, like we can have our community. It's all good. Let's not be elitist about it. We're not better than anybody else. We just have our niche. That's it. You know, we're you know, we're all different. It's you know, I don't know by now, 47 trillion people on the planet or whatever, right? But it doesn't matter. You know, we all have to get along somehow, and
I
the,
agree, right?
the,
And I
the best
think that,
way
like,
to not get the best way to get along with people is not to get offended by other people and whatever they think. You know, if they start to hurt you, yeah, you can start to get offended.
and it's
But if
good
they
to
don't
have
hurt
an
you,
open
come
mind,
on.
right? Like, you know, especially with music, right? Like, there's certain genres of music that I don't care for, right? That it wouldn't be my go-to to listen, right? But at the same time, getting an Oris tattoo now, that's awesome.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, sorry.
So basically, like what I was getting at is just to have an open mind and at least be willing to accept somebody else's likes and dislikes, right? You have people that like gangster rap, you have people that like classical music, you have people that like country, bluegrass, whatever, right? It doesn't have to be your thing, but don't put anybody down because it's what they like, right? And I think that, you know, a lot of like, and I am guilty of this more than anybody, right? When I was in my youth, right, and I was in my teens, and like I thought people that listen to that grunge stuff were just like crushing my dreams of being like, because I was an 80s metalhead guy, right? And I'm like, you guys are killing this, right? But now it's like, you know, there was like so much animosity towards that group. And it's like, you know what? It wasn't that big of a deal. It didn't change the course of my life whatsoever. It didn't do anything that was like, you know what I mean? It was just kind of one of those things where it happened. And, you know, it was just the way that it was, right? It was just there and it happened. And I think that people can have their opinions, but have your opinions in a productive way. Don't put anybody down because they like a certain thing. That's what my message would be, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to paraphrase Steve Martin. You know his my wish for the next year. Do you
Right.
remember that old SNL classic skit? But what we were just talking about, I think, yeah, we don't want to talk about politics or religion. But if that same philosophy goes into every aspect of every person's life, then we will live happily ever after.
Yeah.
It's my dream. It's like, I like my stuff, you like your stuff. You know, if you don't like my stuff, that's cool. We don't have to hang out.
Sure.
It's fine.
And
Go
and
do
that's
your
the thing,
stuff.
right? And it's not
Don't
that I
hurt
don't
me for it. You know,
Right.
don't hurt me because you disagree with my
Yeah,
shit.
exactly.
Let me like my shit.
Right.
You know, like,
And the only reason why I say I stay away from politics and religion is not because I don't like to talk about it, right? Like have a religious conversation with me all day long, right? Have a political conversation with me all day long. But the thing is that like in this short window that we do this, I'm not going to change your opinion about your politics and your beliefs, and you're not going to change mine. Now, can we have a conversation about it? Absolutely. But
Yeah.
those subjects in a short window usually turn to argumentative very quickly. And I don't want to have arguments. I'm very much open to discuss. But it's changing of opinion and changing of thought, right? It's like it usually doesn't go well.
I have a key point to make on that.
Yeah, sure.
And that is what I have seen in the last couple of decades, right? I'm an old dude. I know you're not a young pup either.
Right.
But the change that has happened, and we can make this unilaterally across all topics, is that it has changed from understanding to trying to change someone's mind. Right? It used to be, oh, that is what you believe. Okay, cool. I understand you now. I don't agree with it, but I understand you. Right? Whereas in the last while, it's turned into, I don't understand you. I don't agree with you. So I need to change your mind in order to get you into my camp. That's the difference, right?
Agreed.
If we can just be cool with, you like your shit, cool.
Yeah.
You like Def Leppard? I am never going to listen to Def Leppard in my life unless, it comes on by accident at a mall. Versus, but you see what I'm saying, right? That's.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
And I think it goes across all camps.
So
it sounds very shallow to make it a musical comparison.
No,
but Islam could be Def Leppard, or Judaism could be Def Leppard.
Yeah,
from that point of view, right?
And that's the thing, right? Like, our podcast is based on the hard rock and heavy metal scene, right? But hard rock and heavy metal, as we've discussed over the last few months, is such a broad genre, right? If I say I like heavy metal and you say, give me a band that's heavy metal, you said it. Some guy might say Def Leppard, right? So if that's the case, right, I would ask, why do you think Def Leppard is heavy metal? And they would give me their reason why. I could ask another person, give me, do you like heavy metal? Yeah. What's your favorite band? Oh, I like Monstrosity. Well, Def Leppard and Monstrosity are two of the furthest bands that you could possibly think of. But yet when you say, who do you like? They all fit into that category. So I think that because you are open to talk about it, you have to understand the people's opinions and why they do it. And, somebody can argue that Def Leppard's a heavy metal band. I'm not one of them, but I can argue it, right, if I had to.
And at the end of the day, too, like, people are not one-dimensional, right? So if someone comes up to you and says, I like Def Leppard, and that's how I want to live my life. I want to live my life according to Def Leppard's teachings. I am going to be entirely based on Hysteria. That is what I'm going to base my life on.
And it's unfortunate because there'll always be two steps behind.
It's like, okay, buddy, that's pretty crazy that you're following, an album by, small, but you see what I'm saying? It's like, but okay, but cool. But, what else are you into, right? Like, what else do you like? And it's like this one aspect. Yes, my entire musical interest is based on Def Leppard, and Def Leppard is Jason. All right. So music is not what we're going to have anything in common with, but you're here at my sister's wedding,
Right.
You're sitting next to me at the table. What else can we find that we can talk about? Because I'm not going to start a fight with you about my sister's,
right.
But you see what I'm saying, right? Like there's always that, you're never gonna get along completely with anyone. Very few, there are people that you'll meet that you'll agree with everything on, perhaps, right?
But again, too, like, isn't it fun to have?
It's like
right. But I think it's fun to have a discussion, right? To be able to talk about it.
Politics is another piece of the personality. Music is a third, and
everything. But could you imagine if we were all the same? Like, how boring would that be? Right? If everybody you knew was in the same camp as you were, you wouldn't have discussions. You wouldn't have topics. You wouldn't have, like, this is what makes us great, right? Having different views and different thought processes is what conversation is brought to us, right? And I think we've lost that art form a little bit, like having debates and civil conversations, as opposed to just yelling your dumb at somebody. But
that's how nature works without even thinking about it. Like, that's how evolution works. So like, why can't we, like, even consciously do that?
Yeah.
I just feel like it's like, okay, all right. So we've met a point here where we've come to a point here where we disagree.
Yeah.
I know that I won't be able to convince you of anything different. You know that you won't be able to convince me of anything different. How about we just change the topic? All right.
Yeah.
And talk about something that, hey, Trump guy or Obama guy, do you like metal?
Right.
No? Okay. Do
Yeah.
you like fishing?
And, and I think that,
Like
what,
there's always something,
yeah.
we
And,
can,
and,
we get
I
along
think
somehow.
the music is the great uniter, right? I really feel that
Yeah,
because
sometimes.
unlike sports and politics and religion, it doesn't necessarily have to be your kind of music. But if you ask mostly anybody, do you like music? How many people are going to say no, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be your band or your genre but if you go to anybody on the planet and you say, do you listen to music? And somebody says no, I would question their mindset, right? Because at some point,
It's happened
somebody's
to
got
me
to like music.
twice. I could not believe it. It's like, what? You don't listen to music? What's wrong? What do you listen to? Well, like, I like talk shows,
Right.
stand-up comedy. Like I don't really.
Yeah.
Okay, we cannot be friends.
Right, yeah.
No.
You are not a civil human
No,
being if you don't like
That's
music.
where I draw the line.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying. But yeah.
But I think realistically, like music is the great equalizer because even the people that basically have nothing, can form some type of musical opinion on what they like, even if they are uncivilized. Like you still have tribal people in the Middle East and in Africa, right? They're indigenous, but they still bang on a drum, right?
Yeah.
They still know music.
Yeah. And I also just want to sort of I'm jumping backwards a little bit in the conversation. Like,
Yeah.
I do get pleasure from trying to destroy people. Whereas like, they have an argument and I know that I can destroy their argument.
Right.
There's absolutely satisfaction in that.
Yeah.
But it's selfish.
Yeah.
And it's hoping that someone will realize their stupidity or whatever, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, yeah. With the music, there is a music. Music is so primal and makes us feel things.
Yeah, and
and it's whether it makes you comfortable or uncomfortable. Maybe that's the thing about the people that I said that said they don't like music is that they don't like the way that it makes them feel. Maybe there's the synapses in their brain that says that this is not a pleasurable experience.
Right.
But it does send a signal.
Yeah, and music's the gateway to the soul. So if you don't like music, then you don't have a soul. Right? Like what motivates you at that point, right?
You just haven't found the right shit yet.
I guess, right?
Right? You grew up on Katy Perry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right.
No, sorry. Katy Perry has a. I'm revealing myself here, but yeah, geez, what would that's an interesting question. Maybe that's a topic for next time. Like, what would be music that you would never listen to? That no matter how much someone would argue for it, that you actually wouldn't be able to try it out. Like I know it's extreme music, like John Cage. I don't see the point in listening to 3 minutes 46 seconds of just pure silence. Like, what's the fucking point?
Right.
Or whatever, right?
So that is like,
but
that's the thing,
apart
though.
from that, it's like
It's a great question because then you argue what's music and what's noise.
Yeah. I mean, if I'll give you a teaser. If I was asked to go to an hour-long Dixieland concert, I would choose anything before going to that.
Yeah.
So Dixieland would be one of mine.
Right. And it's funny because like you've heard these artists that do the white noise, right? Where they basically take one chord and they basically somewhere in the minute and 30 seconds of the noise there's a glitch and they call that the song, and it's basically a straight hum for 35 seconds and then a glitch and then another 35-second hum and then a glitch, and all you're hearing is ambient noise, but yet they say that's music. So I don't know.
I went to a show like that. We were playing at a show like that. It was
Really?
at Abnormal House in Chicago on Normal Street. Uh, there was an artist that was doing the noise thing, and he was like doing these amazing switches from green noise to pink noise to white noise. And people that know the various sounds of noise, they thought it was awesome, and I was like,
I guess so.
yeah, no, I'm gonna go get a beer.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed for that, right? Just to hear that, right? And then that would be difficult for me to listen to, right?
Yeah, but let me put it this way. I am happy to have seen it, and I could tell you now that I have actually gone to see that. You've heard about it.
Yeah,
I've actually seen it in person.
I've only heard about it.
And it's weird, and I don't like it, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So that I would be hard pressed to listen to that if that was considered a genre of music. That would be the first one, and then the other one I think that I would have a hard time like getting into, just because of like the lack of music. Like, is that like really like hardcore like gangster rap, right? Like, it's just hard for me to listen to it. And I know people appreciate it, and I know they like it, and I know but like that drill music from Chicago, I don't get it.
Yeah, drill is from the UK originally, by the way.
Is it?
A
lot of Chicago rappers
UK
have
thing.
like.
I heard about it. I looked into it, but I've never been into that.
Yeah,
I
don't understand it. Maybe because I don't
industrial, but
understand
not
it.
in the hip
But
hop.
like, it hurts my ears to listen to it. Like, I cannot. Like, I've tried, and I've watched YouTube videos of like artists that do that, and it makes me just want to like turn it off, and I can't. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So those are my two.
Yeah, no, I in my youth, I listened to Einstürzen and Neubauten, which is, they can start, by 30 seconds of just having a heavy drill going into asphalt, which I thought was really weird, but I thought this is really interesting. They're doing it for a purpose. I'm gonna try to learn more about this. So I actually forced myself to listen to that for a long time, and then I finally actually got it and started to appreciate it. But to someone that is exposed to it casually, and this goes, I guess, out to all of these genres, is like, if you're just sort of casually listening to it and it seems very chaotic, then yeah, it's not gonna be for you. But if you immerse yourself into it, and that goes for maybe your tech death or whatever,
it's funny,
right?
because the pinnacle, right, for me is like, I know there's some people that actually love them, and there's some people that can't stand them, but the Mars Volta.
Yeah.
Right? They're a very eclectic band, but they play that ambient monotone music with just all those noises coming at you. And some people just don't understand it. I kind of like some stuff. I kind of don't like the other stuff, but they're like one of the few bands that like, they really push that issue of what's music and what's noise.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and so we're going a little bit full circle here, because one of my favorite Dromeo videos is the Mars Volta. I right this second though, I forget what song it is. I think is it Queens of the Stone Age song? No, I forget, but she's doing that thing that you said Stuart Copeland did, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway, buddy, we're coming up on the hour and a half.
We're past it, right? So
yeah. So I just wanna I didn't realize that we'd gone on for this long, and I apologize for whatever long rants I've gone on. However much it cut you off. But it's
the best part of doing this with you is to get into your mind and see what you think about these opinions and stuff. It's what makes us us.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing also too when we're thinking about like goals of the year, and what would the big things that you think about earlier in the year, like what would you like the world to be? It's not so much about what's the best song you heard this week. It's it's a time of year when those bigger topics
bigger
come
picture.
about. So thanks for your patience, people, for listening to our rantings, and I hope you enjoyed it. Mark, Thank you so much as
Yeah,
always.
as always, guys, we always end the show with, if you
10K
guys follow
likes.
me, follow Kelly. We got 10K likes. It's awesome. I know Ellie was hitting it. The other Ellie was hitting it. Lay was hitting it. So, guys, thank you so much for getting us to 10K. Our videos have been really going strong with this. We don't pay attention to the leagues or anything like that or the gifts, but having 10K likes on our videos makes us hit the FYP, which allowed us, I think our top count tonight was, I think, 13 or 14 in our group. But like, that means a lot to us, that we're getting different viewers and different eyes on us. So we really appreciate you guys doing all the work for us. So as always, if you follow me, follow Kelly. He's got some great stuff. Follow his stuff on his own. I do my podcast, guys. I have a few guests lined up. So 2025 is going to be off to a good start. I'm trying to go with more quality than quantity of guests. So sometimes that takes a few weeks in between to do that. But 2025 is going to be great. The Pod Cult is going to keep going. We're going to do our weekly show. And hopefully by 2026, we are on the map.
Hope so.
So,
Oh, we're in D2 now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's it, right?
Cool stuff. Yeah. Everybody, and push us out to everybody you know, and share it to everybody. It really helps a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
That's
So-
awesome. You don't have to do that, but thank you so much. I appreciate that.
It does send a message to TikTok though.
Yeah,
so
all the
so,
gifts, guys, we don't ask for them and we don't beg for them, but we appreciate when you send them. It means a lot to us.
It's not for us, it's for our thing. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
That's
So
it.
really appreciate all that. And we'll see you next time. Maybe it's Thursday, maybe we'll hop on
Yeah,
sometime in
we'll
between.
see.
We'll see.
Absolutely.
But thank you guys so much.
All
Follow
right.
Mark if you're following me in the other way
Thank you,
around.
guys. We appreciate it. We appreciate the love and support. Thank you guys again for everything. And, again, 2025 is going to be a good year for us. We got a lot of stuff in store. And we are going to put every week we go live, guys. We try to put in the best effort we can to the show. We try to make it the most fun. We try to make it the most appealing, and we try to make it a little bit controversial, but nothing too over the top. But again, we do this for audience participation and to get views on us. So that's why we talk about the things we talk about. There is some strategy into it. So that's why we do it. I know a lot of you guys ask about topics and stuff we pick, but we try to go with trends that we see and give our opinions on them.
And I think we can sort of put each other on the spot a little bit here, because I think that we've both been thinking about this, and I think that for the upcoming year we'll have more guests coming in.
Yeah, I think so.
We will have people, interesting bands or whatever, that we will join into here and do the same type of thing, where it's just like we're just chatting type of thing, casually, as opposed to it being a promo thing,
Right.
But it's like, hey, if I were the devil, or
Yeah.
hey, band that's in town, do you want to hang out for a bit and just yap? I think that would be really cool.
And I think
that's a good thing to do.
and I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but I think me and Kelly are going to try to make more of an effort to start going to see shows together and seeing what we can get into when we're at the shows. If we can get a behind the scenes glimpse of stuff, or we get to interact, I think we're going to try to put that more on the scene for 26 as well, or 25 to 26.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Jessica, so much for
awesome,
everything.
Jessica. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
I appreciate all of it. Thank you, guys. Whoa!
That's it, right? Knocked it out of the park.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years. Awesome. All right, guys.
That's it. Well, thank you guys so much for being a
Thank
part of this. We'll see you next week. And again, have a happy and safe holiday. I wish the best for you guys in 2025. Make it your best year yet.
Absolutely. It's
Awesome.
going to be the best.
All right,
year.
guys. We'll see you later. We'll catch you
Guaranteed.
next week. And if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, send us messages, guys. You have access to both of us. If you want a topic or something you want to be brought or discussed, let us know. We'll be happy to do it.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a good night. We'll see you next
Have a
week.
good one.
All right.
Happy New Year.